So we're going to go over this with Mueller today. And I'm going to comment on some of these topics about the deep state and the criminalization and the fascism that has taken over in this country. And the perps that are promoting this disastrous problem that we have in this country that's called America, the incorporated nation of thieves of the corporate world.
I am here to tell you that just about every player in the game is walking in the dark by way of deception. Today we're going to go over the big picture. What's it all about? We're talking about the George Webb Swigert saga. As we have talked about in the past, there are many agendas, PSYOP over PSYOP over PSYOP.
Yep.
But what is the big picture? That is the story today. Why was it so important for you to follow the story of where was Braverman for how many days? Where was Braverman? And now we are chasing the Awan brothers, a ghost. Nobody knows where the Awan brothers go. Oh, 100 days down the road, I'm sure we'll find one of them. And then, of course, there is the crowdsourcing of the Seth Rich killer. How many days will that take? Today we are going to discuss the big picture, and I will repeat for the last time that most of the players in this game are walking in the dark. Most of them have been brainwashed their entire lives, and that's where we are today. Now, to understand the big picture, unfortunately, we have to build a foundation. You can never really truly have an understanding of the structure unless you have a good understanding of the foundation, the base. That's where it all starts. Now, first of all, to be able to pull this off, America has to be a fascist organization. America has to be a fascist corporation. That's why so many people around the country are upset that all they hear are lies, because the government and the corporations are operating under deception. They have to lie to you. To keep the system going, they have to lie to you by deception. We will get to that. And that your country is not a democracy, and quite frankly, it is no longer a republic.
And that's a fact.
That is the first thing that we have to understand completely. This is no longer a republic. It is a fascist state where the governments are in bed with the corporations.
Which means that democracy is fascism. Because why? Because democracy is mob rule. And the individual in democracy has no rights. It is the majority rules, which is an oxymoron, people. When we say we the people, we got it wrong by saying we the people. And I'll tell you why that's wrong. Because if you have individual liberties that cannot be infringed, then that means the majority cannot, the word cannot infringe on those. They can't vote them away and say that we the people voiced our opinion, we said so, and the reason why that was supposed to be that way, because the majority can be wrong. And then if you look in history, the majority of the time has been wrong by listening to a handful of these crony criminals that are always and have been in power. Only criminals and psychopaths and narcissistic kind of people seek these positions of power, and then they turn this into a democracy, and they use it as a tool for their personal gains to manipulate and deceive society, like Mueller is explaining here.
You understand that part, then we can go on that the way they do business, their MO, their standard operating procedure, is by way of deception in everything they do, even by ruling over you. Just about everything you hear on mainstream media, which is their tool, is a lie by way of deception. Ronald Reagan learned it, that he was going to go nowhere with his agenda. When he came into the White House, he went absolutely nowhere. The deep state actually got bigger. I repeat, Ronald Reagan came into Washington, D.C., the swamp, with big hopes. But it was very, very quickly that he learned that he was going nowhere, that he was neutered. That's the main story today. Being neutered, Ronald Reagan figured it out, and the deep state got bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so we're still building on our foundation. Now we have to go way, way back to understand how the majority of the players are walking in the dark, and they do not know the big picture up until today. We have to go way back. We start with the public school system. The public school system is where it all begins. It's not a coincidence that your child has to go to school, forced to go to school. If not, the police knock on your door and give you a ticket, a fine, because your child has to be indoctrinated. Okay?
And that's a fact. It's a brainwashing center. It has nothing to do with actually giving your child an education. That's why they force you. Anything that they have to force you to do cannot be obviously a good thing. And it's kind of obvious that the things that they pass, these laws, these programs, why are they not the first ones in line if they're not the greatest things on the planet that they claim to be? That if they were so great and these things that they present to us were so great, then you would think that they would be cutting in line in front of us, having a heads up by making these things and coming up with these things, how good they would be. Man, they would be at the fucking front of the line. But they're not. And that should tell the public and the people, or the people in the public, or whatever you want to call it, that it's bullshit. Because if it really was that good, believe me, they would be a part of that program. Not only to be a part of that program, like I said, they'd be first in line.
So it's a very, very slow process. You have to understand authority. They keep on repeating to you over and over and over until you get it. And then after 12 years of that, you'll go on to the next stage, which is military or college, and then it just gets stronger. The brainwashing gets stronger. Why am I talking about this? Because every player had to go through this. Every player in the game, this is their life. They had to understand that they had to play by the rules. Now there are a few exceptions. Maybe 1, 2, 3% of the population. They do their summers in Europe. We will go into that more later. It is a very important part of the story. How we are going to identify who knows what's going on, who knows the big picture. And the clue is, I'll give you a hint, it has something to do with who does their summers in Europe. But let's get back on track, building our foundation. As I said before, we all know, we've established that most of us have been brainwashed through the public school system, and then we went on to the military or college, and this is the point I'm going to try to get across. And that is, since that first day that your mommy sent you off to kindergarten, that we have been molded, we have been directed in a certain direction, or more importantly, we have been guided You see, you've been guided through the public school system. You've been guided through the military. You've been guided through the college. You've been guided through the government contractor jobs. It is a very, very slow brainwashing that is very, very effective. You play by the rules. Our rules is what they say.
And step by step, they ensnare you. And then this thing called the media, with that chatterbox, that TV, and the propaganda that they spew out into the airwaves. You're ensnared in it daily. They pound this shit into your head. Why do you think they keep repeating this shit over and over and over again? They want to reassure you that what they're telling you is true. And when they have to keep pounding it in your head, you should be smart enough to realize it's a fucking goddamn lie.
You play by our rules, or you are kicked off the reservation. Very important. If you do not play by the rules, you are kicked off the reservation. No food, no housing, no cheap women, no boat, no private school for your little spoiled, rotten rugrats. So you understand all the way down to your soul that you do exactly what your superior tells you to do, and you actually believe that it's the correct thing to do. You're doing it for your family. You're doing it for yourself. Nobody wants to be out there living under the bridge.
Yeah, and that's a fact. It's like I was talking to somebody the other day, and they think that the things I said to them, they looked at me absolutely like I was frickin' nuts, because they can't articulate, they cannot come up with the equation of understanding that they're serving a criminal empire. Yeah, because either I'm a good guy, or I served the military, I did the right thing. Everything that we're doing is for the establishment. Yes. It's not for what we call the country and we the people. That is a fallacy, Americans. And you need to wake up to this fact that it is bullshit. These people are creating all of the problems and blaming you for it.
And by now, there may be a lot of people out there saying, okay, we got enough of the foundation. Please get to the point. Okay. What we're talking about here is a 1-2 punch against Donald Trump. Now, there are a few different outcomes of this 1-2 punch. Number one, Donald Trump could be impeached. He could be neutered. But most importantly, there is an example being set for anybody who's going to be stepping into his shoes. Remember, the last example was set many, many, many years ago, John F. Kennedy. So they are going to impeach Donald Trump, or they are going to neuter him, and they are going to send a message to the next person who's going to be
It's also a message to the people. And this message is we have control, and no matter who gets in there, even if it is a good guy, which I don't think that they're going to let any good guy in there, even by way of the controlled voting system. So it is, when you see these things, they literally are letting you know none of your little peanut motherfuckers are ever going to be able to achieve the control that we have. And if you try to disrupt it, well, we'll show you what force is all about, baby.
Into his shoes, and you say to yourself, well, how in the hell does this connect to George Webb Swigert and Jason Goodman and Trish? And that's what we're talking about today. That is the big picture. Who knows what, and when did they know it? This is very important. Most people have come to the conclusion that when they were watching George Webb by himself, they were very entertained that George was entertaining them with all the big code words and everything was going fine. pretty much everybody is in alignment, and most people are in agreement, that things did not start to go sideways until Jason Goodman and Trish arrived on the scene.
And then you see these people right here in these suits. There's more criminals in the white-collar sector than there are blue-collar sector that wears T-shirts with tattoos on it. And these people with these fucking suits, they have passed the laws to make it legal so that they can be the biggest criminal thieves on planet Earth. And by that, you, the public, is going to believe that these guys are good guys because the law says so. But the law was created to protect these kind of criminals. And that is a part of my interjection in this.
Now, about the same time, or a little later, the first punch, the left punch to Donald Trump was starting to occur. That would be the Robert Mueller investigation. Remember, well, I'll remind you, what the big picture is about today is a 1-2 punch against Donald Trump, and how does George Webb Swigert and the whole circus fit in to this 1-2 punch. We are also in agreement.
This is also, right here, that's the American right there, walking in the fucking dark, blind as a bat, only believing what they're told, only believing what they're told, only believing what they have been raised to believe, the knowledge that they have been programmed with, that gives you the ability to think that the way that they want you to think. And this is why that when somebody does tell you something that's abstract, that doesn't fit the narrative of life, and starts telling you the truth, you're going to reject it. You're going to reject it with your whole fucking body is what you're going to do. Because you think that person is wrong. And when they shed a light on you, trying to get you out of the dark, you're actually going to fight it. Even physically if you have to. It's going to get you so angry because it's disrupting your world that you have known all your life. So you will get mad at that person. You may even physically harm them to protect what you believe. And that is a part of this program, of this psychological psyop that they play on people from birth.
That many of the players are walking in the dark, and some of them are just playing a role because they've been brainwashed to play the role, to listen to authority. Just do as you're told if you want that paycheck. We also have established that there are about 1 or 2% of the population who have not been brainwashed. They do not play by the rules, and they do their summers in Europe. Okay, I think I said that once before, didn't I? You have to understand why I am here before you and we are talking with this conversation. Why are we even talking about this? Well, I will remind you. You see, we are at war. Our system is breaking down. One day...
We are at war. The people at the top are attacking the people at the bottom because they're greedy. They can't take, they just don't have enough. No matter how much they have, they still don't have enough. So, just out of desperation and to fulfill and satisfy their desires and their hunger for their greed, they will destroy everything around us. Look, why are we believing and trusting people we don't even know? And that's an insanity, people. We're trusting and believing people that we see on TV, we hear them, but we don't know them. We don't know shit about them, but other than what we're told. And why would you, I don't care if they're presented as a good person, why would you believe somebody? Seriously, think about it. Why would you believe somebody you really don't know? Because they're on TV and they sound good? Look, people, anybody can say anything that they want. It can sound good or it can sound bad. But can you verify their actions? Seriously, take that in consideration. And if they have no proof of their past actions to meet their words, that they fulfill, that they can make happen, then I wouldn't believe them one bit until they can prove what they say. Why would you trust them just because they said it was something and it sounded so freaking good? You know what? If it was so good, remember that old saying? If it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. So always keep that in mind. And you can't sell a future in the present time guaranteeing that at the present time that future is going to be fulfilled down the line. Matter of fact, as long as I have lived, the things that they have proclaimed that they would do in the future, over 50 years of living on this planet now, I haven't seen them fulfill those future promises. They have led to failure, is what it has become to. Every one of them has led to failure. Look around. We're reaping what we're sowing, people. It's a simple fucking equation. Get off your idiocy and stop listening to these fucking salesmen pitching bullshit to your ears to sound good, and it captures your mind and you think. Yeah, you think that that's a good person because they said something that you like to hear. That's an idiot.
I looked up and I looked around and I didn't like what I saw, and I said, you know what, this is war. And I decided that I was going to be your wartime consigliere. Now you have to understand that YouTube pays me $166 per month to do this channel. All the videos you see, everything I tell you, YouTube pays me $166 per month to tell you this stuff, to give you this information. No, I am not
breaking
doing it
the
for
bank,
money. I am doing it because I took on a new name, I took on a new role. I am Bravo Von Mueller, and I am your wartime consigliere. I have to give you the foundation and the information if we are going to go on and win this war. Trust me, I am not doing this for money. If the dual citizens would pay me for my time and my work, it would be nice. And if they paid me, I would take that money and I would hire somebody. I would hire some young person. And I would be their mentor. And I would guide them in the right direction on how you're going to have to survive in the future with no factory. But right now, the sad fact is I am just a glitch in the matrix. The dual citizens know about me. They're trying to do something. They're working on their plan as we speak. They want me out of the system because...
Yeah, that's a fact. You know, that's another thing that shows how dumb Americans are. You're going to allow somebody to sit in any of your political seats, from local to a county to a state seat and a federal seat, that holds an allegiance to another country as a dual citizen. You know, that should speak volumes to the American people, but they're intellectually inept to articulate the difference between that. And who are these dual citizens? And what nation are they dual citizens to? That should also tell them what's going on and how much money that this nation shells out to that particular nation daily, of the millions of dollars. Yeah. And that's your money. And guess what? They're waging a war in our name. That's what they're doing. And they're covering themselves up, and they're covering their tracks up real good. I got to hand it to these people, that I really do. I have to hand it to how sly and slick these people are. But these are nomadic tribal people, okay? And they've been roaming the planet for thousands of years. And they've been doing this. They're a parasite. They go into nations, and every time that this particular nomadic gypsy group of people that I'm talking about, these dual citizens, just do your history. Go back in and do your own research. Don't even trust what I'm saying. See what I'm saying for yourself. Every time this parasitic group of nomadic people have entered a nation, something bad happened to that country. And then by the time that they realized what was going on, they go after these people and they slaughter the shit out of them. It has been a common occurrence throughout the last few thousand years. And they have been kicked out of every nation that they have entered. Yes, that is an absolute historical fact. But then, in turn, somehow or another, now they're a victim type of people. For the last few thousand years, they are now claiming that everyone is picking on them. That can be only not true. Because in human history, and it cannot even equate in a mathematical situation, that every one of these places that they entered, everyone just disliked them because of who they were. How about maybe we start thinking on the terms that what did these people do to cause these people to do what they did? Why would they have let them in there to begin with if they are already aware of what kind of people they were? And that we need to start questioning, because it's obvious as hell every place that they have entered, they show exactly who they are. And once that the people realize who they really are and what their agenda is, well, they terminate them one way or another. If it's physically murdering them or forcing them out of their lands. So we need to start questioning that fact, people. And they have a good grip on America, pretty bad right now. And the bigger the grip that they have had, well, look around and see the results of what's been happening for the last 75 years or so. Yeah. Matter of fact, since the turn of the 1900s, this has become a very, very big problem. And we're fighting for them in our name, not theirs. They even joke about that we're their little punks. And we're going to sacrifice you people for our gains. But people are too stupid to articulate this equation.
I am just a glitch in the matrix. They give me $166 and that's some sort of joke or like spitting in your face. They say, yeah, bravo Von Mueller, keep on making all those truth videos, but you're just going to get $166. Ha 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 ha, and they laugh at me.